surprisingly, I've been talking all along without any voice or vocal. But yeah, now basically, yeah, welcome to United Talks podcast. Welcome to United Talks Live. You know, as we break down everything related to Manchester United, you know, all the breaking news, all the news you can use. You know, we've been in the last couple of hours focusing on Portugal and also Nigeria, and you know, all the World Cup qualifiers. Portugal lost, Nigeria won, Cameroon lost. We've just been Pranbomo lost World Cup qualifiers, knockouts and all of that. So a whole lot of other things going on right now. But you're welcome. And tonight we're going to be ripping off the lead of the sheer drama and the ambition unfolding at Manchester United. We're going to be talking about the struggle. We're also going to be talking about the massive £110 million war chest, as well as the race for a dynamic attacker and shocking revelation about the former fan favorite, and the full, you know, deep dive analysis of Rúben Amorim's ultimate plan for Old Trafford. So get ready, because the January transfer window is coming and it promises to be absolutely explosive. But we have to start with the man who is currently ripping up the Premier League for a rival club, and who basically United are desperately trying to steal. Man United are trying to get, you know, several midfielders, right? Several midfielders. So basically, we're going to break down a couple things. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about the Benjamin Sesko injury. Not first and foremost, anyway, but just our list is full. We have the Benjamin Sesko injury. We have the Antoine Semenyo injury. We have Jadon Sancho. Antoine Semenyo interest. We have the Javi Guerra interest. We're also going to talk about Jadon Sancho's early struggles at Man United. We're also going to talk about moves for Karim Adeyemi, Sekou Kone, and also Wirtz, basically responding to ex-United players and all of that, all the stars and everything. We're also going to talk about a whole lot of things. We're going to talk about, I think we're going to talk about Nico Schlotterbeck. I have that on my list here, but it's on the side. But I needed to bring this up because basically it doesn't make sense that Man United could be interested in a player like him, considering where we are. But we're going to talk about it, Nico Schlotterbeck. I hope I remember to talk about it along as we go along with the stream. So the first one we have is an 80 million battle for Antoine Semenyo. Basically, Man United are looking to steal a march on two of their greatest rivals, Arsenal and Liverpool, in a three-way tug of war for one of the most informed players in the Premier League right now, and that is Bournemouth's attacking sensation, Antoine Semenyo. The 25-year-old Ghanaian international has been nothing short of spectacular since, you know, signing for the Cherries in early 2023. Now he has truly taken his game to the next level this season, and the numbers are pretty much undeniable. Semenyo is Bournemouth's standout performer with 6 goals and 3 assists in just 11 Premier League outings. He is fast, he is versatile, and he can play anywhere across the front line, although he prefers to play on the right wing spot. So we will keep an eye on that. We will observe, we will follow through, we will, you know, just basically give you all of the updates with regards to Antoine Semenyo that you need, basically. So yeah, Man United are interested in Antoine Semenyo. He's a player of interest, and is one that everybody's just going to be on the lookout for, and amongst other things. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. What do you guys think about the Antoine Semenyo situation? We'll break down further into, you know, what this means, especially with regards to Manchester United and everything in between. The 25-year-old, like I said, Ghanaian international, is Bournemouth's standout performer with 6 goals and 3 assists in 11 outings for the Premier League side. We also have a situation where he prefers to play on the right wing spot, but he also plays on the left. I've seen him play on the left for Bournemouth. I watched him. He's one of the players that everybody is kind of interested in, and everybody's kind of like wanting to talk about, wanting to, you know, associate themselves with, and clubs are particularly interested in him. Then we also have a situation where why the giants of football, of Premier League football, are circling around him. Arsenal see him as a quality and depth that they need in the final third to secure Premier League title challenge. Hopefully, if they're getting him in January. Liverpool are also pushing for a smooth transition from life after Mo Salah, whose form hasn't been at his absolute peak this season, but Semenyo is viewed as the ideal replacement. But Manchester United under Rúben Amorim are determined to leapfrog both Arsenal and Manchester and Liverpool to secure him after the success of their summer signings, Brian Bouma and Matheus Cunha. Now United are looking for another Premier League proven star to add to the attacking Arsenal, and they want him in January. So obviously there's an interest in him in January, but this is where the price tag becomes terrifying. Bournemouth are in a position of total strength. Semenyo signed a contract extension, that ties him into to the club till 2030, but they are reluctant to negotiate, and their price tag has been set so high, and we're talking about offers of around in the excess of 65 million pounds, which is easily achievable, potentially creeping closer to 80 million pounds, which is where there's an issue. Now United are determined to spend the money, but the owners are reportedly providing a massive 110 million pounds potential January. 10 million pounds for potential January transfers as we chase Champions League football, and Semenyo is the perfect profile: pace, goals, assists, and versatility, which is crucial for Amorim's system. Now the question will now be, is he worth 80 million? We're not against that. We're not against the fact that he can be a potential player for the future for Manchester United, but the question is now, is he worth 80 million? Is he the kind of player that we're going to go for? Is he the kind of player that's going to make things happen for Man United? It remains to be seen. We're just going to be observing. We're going to be hoping that is what the case is. We're going to be hoping that is the situation at Manchester United. But yeah, it is what it is. We have to keep our eye out and keep our powders dry where Semenyo is concerned. So we'll keep it going like that. Now, the question still remains as well, is it a situation where Man United is going to try and get him in January? If that's possible, then we might have to think about it from that perspective. But it's not going to come cheap, right? It's not going to come cheap. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be easy to get. But is he gettable? I don't know. We're just going to be observing, right? We're just going to be observing. Now, obviously, United are determined to spend the money, and recently Indicala dropped a breaking news recently that, this is in the last 24 hours, on the last 14-15 hours. Indicala said that Man United would make provision for 110 million pounds to spend in January. I don't know how that is possible, or probably make a provision for 110 million pounds to be spent in the summer. But we will observe. We'll keep our eye out. We'll observe. We'll put things out there in the open, and when anything breaks, we'll let you guys know as time goes on. Now, basically, paying up to 80 million for Semenyo while navigating interest from two top rivals is going to be the biggest transfer saga of the winter, but it's a bold move, and it's designed to inject quality and deliver on the promise of bringing the best players back to Old Trafford. Now, we have to think about it from the perspective of the fact that obviously he's a player that, he's Premier League proven. He's delivered in Premier League for almost 3 seasons now, and the fact is, based on what Jason Wilcox said recently, there's a potential for him to just be a plug-and-play player. You bring him in, he just plugs in and he plays, and the rest is history. So we'll keep our eye out for that. We'll observe, and as things pan out, we'll let you all know. And that is all about Antoine Semenyo. The next thing is with regards to the midfield puzzle, which seems to not be going away. A situation where Man are interested in a couple of midfielders. There's a puzzle of the Baleba deal, the Anderson, Javi Guerra. We're also going to be talking about I think we talked about him, João Gomez, yesterday. But Man United are interested. But I checked online, I dug deep, and I didn't really find so many credible reports with regards to João Gomez. But he's one player that I think Man United should just go for in that Wolves team, seeing as Wolves are dilly-dallying around the bottom half of the table. especially in the relegation zone, being the 20th team in the Premier League. So it will be interesting to see, what Man United does. I mean, there are two midfielders that you can actually go for. One is box to box, and the other one is central defensive midfielder. If Wolves will let them go. The Brazilians as well. Though that would be super interesting. I did that analysis yesterday. You can go watch a video where I talked about it at length and stuff. But yeah, it is what it is. Now, while the focus is on the attack, United knows that the engine room needs a complete overhaul, and the club has laid out their summer targets for central midfield rebuild. And the names are two of Premier League's most exciting young talents in Carlos Baleba and of Brighton, and Anderson of Nottingham Forest. There are other names in the hat, even Angelo Stiller of Stuttgart. It's another name in the hat for Manchester United. Is a name that everybody is talking about, everyone is excited about, everybody is, thinking about and stuff. So we have to just, know what we're doing and know who we are looking at. It's one of those things where you have to just basically be sure and all of that. But then United are interested in him. United are looking at him as a potential. That's Angelo Stiller. We're talking about Carlos Baleba as well. I watched Cameroon play against DR Congo, and Carlos Baleba was subbed off again in the second half. At the beginning of the second half, basically he played the whole first half and was subbed off. So it seems like he's not really having as much impact as everybody expected. I don't know what the price tag will be now that things have fallen this way. Also, fans are already beginning to be worried, especially when it comes to this issue of mentality and stuff. So I don't know. Carlos Baleba, 21-year-old Brighton, 21-year-old from Brighton, is the preferred target. But reports also indicate that United have positioned themselves as his preferred destination, and the midfielder is genuinely keen on the move to Old Trafford. Despite a slight dip in his current form compared to last season, this desire from the player gives United a significant advantage over rivals, and the price tag remains a hefty £100 million. And I don't think Man United is going to go due to the Brighton's famous negotiating skills. But the player's mindset is clear that he wants to move to Old Trafford. So £100 million, that's a whole lot for a player. That is a whole lot for a player. So it'd be nice and interesting to see how this pans out. It'd be nice and interesting to see where this goes from here. But yeah, Carlos Baleba to Man United for £100 million. I don't think that's going to be a good thing. I mean, for the club to spend such an amount of money on a player like that. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. While we take a very short break and be back very quickly. Close that door, please. And we're back. We're back. Obviously, we're back with the conversations about the midfield puzzle and all of that. Yeah, but Carlos Baleba, for Cameroon, it was a bit of an off day again for him. Another bad day in the office. Cameroon lost to DR Congo, but he was subbed off in the first half, and that's even where it got really sad. Subbed off in the first half, and I mean after the first half he didn't come on in the second half and all of that. So he's really, really, really struggling, and it's a mentality thing, but also I don't know. It is what it is. We shall see and would observe as things pan out. He's just 21, so he has a whole lot, of time to improve and to get better and to kind of improve his mentality. Another one is the other key target that we have. It remains Elliot Anderson, 22-year-old highly rated English player. And his valuation could also reach around 9 figures when it comes to like 100 million, 110 million. We talked about it a couple days ago and all of that. But the final price will likely depend on contract clauses and Forest's position in the league come the summer. So Anderson is looking like the summer signing for Man United, but we shall observe and we shall see as things turn out for him. And then there's a third, potentially a quicker option, and that is Javi Guerra. Javi Guerra of Valencia. United's hierarchy is showing serious interest, and they're looking to act swiftly, to beat competition from Arsenal and Atletico Madrid for the Valencia midfielder, defensive midfielder, such a tall player and all of that. But for Valencia, selling a top young player would be difficult given the challenging circumstances. But United's determination suggests that they are looking at all options to secure midfield reinforcements, possibly even before the summer window. Now, speaking of signings, we're going to go to the defense, and I'm just going to quickly grab the news here because when I saw it earlier in the day, I was not, particularly impressed with the legitimacy of that news, but I'm just going to grab it. First and foremost is it was broken by Fichajes. So Fichajes is one guy who always does a lot of shooting and so many misses on social media. He has over 64,000 followers on X and all of that. So he talked about a couple of other things. So Manchester United have emerged as favourites in caps. Bayern have emerged as favourites to sign left-footed centre-back Nico Schlotterbeck from Borussia Dortmund. Then I think the opinion from this channel that posted it, or this account that posted it, says, considering the injury records of Shaw and Martinez, bringing in another left centre back makes perfect sense. To me, it doesn't make perfect sense. I had to bring this because it doesn't make sense, and it's a rumor, so obviously we'll make of it what we will. It doesn't make sense. So if you're bringing in Nico Schlotterbeck as a left centre back, where does that leave Aiden Heaven? Aiden Heaven, Luke Shaw has not been injured in 11-12 games. Luke Shaw has not been injured, considering even like in our FA Cup and everything. Luke Shaw has not been injured. Aiden Heaven, where does that put him? Right? That's Aiden Heaven on the side. Then we talk about, other players. Lisandro Martinez, where does that put him? We are stacked in central defensive, side of things. So bringing in Nico Schlotterbeck, does it not hamper the progression of Aiden Heaven, who we promised first in football and he has gotten this season? So it doesn't make perfect sense. It's just, rumors circling and stuff put in. So this was my response. I said, where does this leave Aiden Heaven? Which means I don't believe the rumor. It doesn't make sense. We need wing backs and mids, and we're favorites for a left centre back. Make it make sense. So like I said, doesn't make sense. So we move on to the other things. Basically, I think we were supposed to talk about, we talked about Semenyo, we talked about the midfield targets and all of that. So Javi Guerra. Now we're going to just quickly have a look at Javi Guerra and make sense of the news around Javi Guerra with regards to so this came out 2 days ago, and it was posted on Yahoo Sports, but by the People's Person. And it says Manchester United's lack of midfield depth yet again cost them crucial points last weekend against Tottenham Hotspur. United appeared to be in a total control for 70 minutes with a goal advantage courtesy of Brian Bomo's well-placed header. So the direction of this article is a bit confusing and off-putting, but it is what it is. Casemiro was at his usual industrious best, but Amorim decided to replace him with Manuel Gatti, given the veteran midfielder's aging leg. He got an injury and he pulled something, and we're trying to save him. Now, Kobe Menu, meanwhile, was left out of the Magic squad due to a minor injury. Man United's current midfield options are far from ideal. Ugate's introduction in North London proved to be a disastrous one, to say the least, and that's a lie, but it is what it is. The Uruguayan seemed lost in the middle of the park and was at fault for both of Spurs' goals. That's also a lie, but it is what it is. United tried to sign a new midfielder. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate ITN. ITN saying, I follow all your uploads and like as much as I can, as best as I can. Yeah, thank you so much for following. Yeah, I know sometimes it's hard to join the live because a whole lot of things are happening at the same time. But yeah, I'll try to be specifically, try to be live on specific times. You know, a few appointments here and there, just taking me away from things. But yeah, it is what it is. So like I said, speaking of direction of United People's Person, with regards to United People's TV, or the People's Person, with regards to their article on the midfielder or midfield interest, they said Ugate's introduction proved disastrous. I don't think so, to say the least. Yes, you look for one person to blame and just blame him. The Uruguayan seemed lost in the middle of the park, and that's a lie. He was trying to chase down. Now, the difference between Ugate, let's just clear this. The difference between Ugate and Casemiro is that Ugate is not your guy who controls the ball. Ugate is your hunter in the midfield. He hunts and basically tries to hunt down players and try to hunt down midfielders, tries to hunt down the ball, while Casemiro is your guy who tackles and tries to win the ball and makes quick transition. But for Ugate, he's just a bit of a how can I say this? He's a bit of a ball hunter. I mean, Bruno has come out to confirm that as well. But the club's hierarchy refused to meet Brighton's outrageous demands for Carlos Baleba, so the Reds are looking to strengthen the midfield in January, having set the sights on Valencia star Javi Guerra, which also doesn't make sense. But according to Fichajes, United are considering making an offer for 50 million euros to sign Guerra in January. Guerra was on United's radar in the summer as well. Eventually, the Spain under-21 international decided to sign a new contract at Mestalla. Now, the new terms, value on 2029, include a release clause of around 100 million euros. See? Now, however, Valencia are thought to be open to parting ways with their gifted academy product at a significantly reduced price, as the 22-year-old has struggled for consistency under head coach Carlos Corberan. Now, standing tall at 6'2", I was going to talk about his height, but yeah, Guerra is a box-to-box midfielder who tends to make use of his pace, close control and massive frame to progress the ball higher up the field. Further, his defensive work rate is commendable. The Spaniard has drawn comparisons to former Real Madrid midfielder Kaká due to his tireless running and his technical prowess. Ugate is a useful player. ITN saying Ugate is a useful player. We just need to go out and find the next Pogba. Yeah. That can score and assist from that position. Yeah. He's a youthful squad player. That's the thing. He's a youthful squad player. He's a player that, I mean, I think I saw another news somewhere where Amorim was talking about Ugate's. There was a news that was put out to say that Amorim was telling Ugate that he's lost his work rate and all of those things. I mean, in as much as we're going to talk about it, let's not slag our own player. He's not been as good enough as we expect. So yeah, it is what it is. He's not been as good enough as we expect. So we hope that he turns up. We hope that he can do, because I think even they'll be giving him this season as last season to deliver, and if he doesn't, then there's going to be a problem. Midfield is the weak link at the moment. Bruno and Casemiro just can't cut it at every game. Yep. Past at this, yeah. But I'm happy that Bruno is rested, or he just didn't play this last game for Portugal. Why I say I'm happy is because he was suspended, but then he gets to rest, and then I don't know what is next for Cameroon. So Mbeumo will be coming back fresh and ready for Everton, for the game against Everton. So we shall see. I don't know what is next for Cameroon. Maybe they'll have a friendly, maybe they had nothing scheduled, or Mbeumo will come back, or yeah, we're just going to. So today Cameroon played and they lost. They lost in the semi-finals World Cup qualification for Manchester United. I mean, from the African Confederation of African Football side of things, Cameroon lost 1-0 to DR Congo, and that's it, basically. So we're going to see basically their next game. Is it supposed to be? Oh, so it's going to be. So Cameroon doesn't have a next game, so I'm guessing Mbeumo is going to be coming back almost immediately. The next match is against Gabon on the 24th of December, and that is pretty much in AFCON, right? So I think Mbeumo is going to be here till 20th of December. Yeah, so their next game is against Gabon, and that's pretty much it. So we shall see. The fixture, yeah, I'm just looking at the fixture list, is against Gabon, and then they play Ivory Coast. That's Mbeumo versus Ahmad on the 28th of December, and then they play Mozambique. So considering that they're out of the AFCON and they're out of the World Cup, they probably would be so annoyed, so much so that they will want to, give it their all in the African Cup of Nations. So I don't know. I don't think there's any other fixture for them. So Mbeumo comes back, so he rests one more game. Speaking of Ivory Coast, we're going to look at what Ivory Coast is doing. I think they will have a friendly. So they play Saudi Arabia, so it's a friendly. They play Saudi Arabia because Ivory Coast, I think they made it to, let's see where they were. Ivory Coast made it to the AFCON. Let me see. Did they make it to the World Cup? I think they made it to the World Cup. Let's see. Yeah, I think they made it to the World Cup. So they are unbeaten in the last 5. Yeah, they made it to the World Cup. They beat Kenya and they qualified. So we'll see Ahmad at the World Cup. But then they play Saudi Arabia in a friendly, and then they play Oman in a friendly as well. So that will probably be just it for them. And they play tomorrow. Might not need to watch that, but we'll keep an eye out for that. Now, ITN is saying that look at Arsenal. They took the gamble spent on Rice, knowing Odegaard is there to give that mix. Yeah. Wilcox is taking a lot. We have Menu in that position, and he's not getting no confidence or confirmation. It's not a good look. Yeah. With regards to Menu, yeah, I feel he's still gonna get playing time. He has from second week of December to second week of December to like January to play. So he will play. There's no two ways about it. Menu's going to get time. So sadly he got injured. If not, he'd have been the one to come on in the mid to kind of control things and keep things steady. Let's all pray in respect to Ahmad and Mbeumo's countries to go out early. Maybe selfish. Maybe I'm being selfish. Yeah. Everybody's hoping that, yeah, but I think with the annoyance that Cameroon crashed out of this qualifier, they're gonna go all out for the AFCON, because the last AFCON was won by Ivory Coast. So, and Ahmad was not in that Ivory Coast team basically, but Ahmad is a top player, and Pepe also has come to his own. So he was gonna they're gonna go with so much annoyance for this AFCON to try to win it, because they crashed out of the World Cup. So they want to at least go with a trophy while others are playing for the World Cup and all of that. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. So we shall see. The AFCON takes place, just to have a quick look at that. The AFCON takes place, yeah, let's just African Cup of Nations. Yeah, let's just have a look. Africa Cup of Nations. Africa. So for the African Cup of Nations, let's see. Yeah, so for the African Cup of Nations, this was the C2020. I think it starts pretty much I'm just trying to find it. It's not. African Cup of Nations. No. So now for African Cup of Nations, the fixtures start pretty much. I'm seeing qualifications. Damn it. Anyway, so for AFCON, the competition really starts in December 19th or thereabout, and then obviously goes on to let's just quickly have a look. We're trying to find the dates, this precise dates, and I think it goes to it starts from 19th and ends 19th January, right? It starts from 19th December and ends 19th January. So yeah, it doesn't go up to February and stuff. So we shall see. So Africa Cup of Nations, basically, let's see the fixtures. Fixtures start 21st to 24th December. I said 19th. So the opening event starts on 19th. So 21st to 24th December, and then it goes on to, I think the group stage ends in December 31st, and then we look at not the table, the seasons. Nope, not the seasons. We go to the overview. So with that, when you look at the knockout stages and everything, it to take us to if the group stages are done in December, then it takes us to January 20th or 21st. So it's a whole month. ITN is saying here, needless to say, Amorim knew this AFCON will be held, and he needs to adapt. So let's see if he's woke up or still asleep. Prem League is relentless to think you can just put Mount on or others to cover. Yeah, Amorim came out to say that we knew. He said we knew in the press conferences, last two press conferences, talked about it. He says we knew that this was the case, and basically, seeing as we knew, we have plans in place. So maybe there's a chance that we play that AFCON. I mean that the players who go on to AFCON are replaced by players in the squad. I for one would say Xerxes comes on, especially now that Sesko is injured. Xerxes comes on. I also for one would say Mount as well, but then we also need players to kind of fill up the bench spaces. So he will take academy players in December, because we have 2 weeks in December to play, and then obviously come January, hopefully we should be able to secure some signings and bring them in to fill out the remaining spots, while Ahmad, Mbumo, who are very key players, and Nusra Mazraoui, would come back third week of January. So let's just be positive about this whole thing, because for me, I don't feel like we should worry too much, even though they already knew. These guys are smart enough to know. We will continue this conversation about the whole AFCON and the whole situation and the whole players and transfers and stuff. But yeah, Javi Guerra is of interest to Man United. I heard a lot of legit rumors in January, in the summer, and I thought that I heard some conspiracy theory, that Man United had already secured the deal for Javi Guerra, but we shall see. He's just 22 as well, good talent, Spanish international and all. Now let's talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's shock about the sale of Scott McTominay. This is a bit of revisionism, but we're still going to do it. Let's just talk about it briefly or for some time. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out to talk about the sale of Scott McTominay. We're going to see it as the one that got away, right? Or more accurately, the one that they say let get away. Basically, Man United let him go. This is a story perfectly encapsulating the internal confusion and the poor tactical decisions that have plunged United in recent years. I wouldn't call this a tactical decision, because the reason why I'll say this is not a tactical decision is that Man United basically had to let McTominay go, not because of tactical reasons or squad reasons, but based on the fact that we needed McTominay to generate funds, basically. So he kind of saved the club. But McTominay, yeah, ITN is saying McTominay was really a bad choice to sell, easily a bad choice to sell. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. ITN is saying, so the poetry guy says what we want. I'm telling you, we don't pick up 3 points against the following opponents. Yeah. I'm being positive. Trust me. I'm being positive and optimistic that we get good points or positive points. But yeah, speaking of McTominay, he's easily, according to ITN here, he's easily a bad choice to sell. We could have left him. I mean, he would be doing so well in that box-to-box role, filling in that midfield pivot with Casemiro and dragging us forward. He's very athletic. He's less injury prone. He runs his socks off. If you remember the Liverpool game where we came from behind in that FA Cup 4-3 win that Ahmad scored, McTominay was running his socks off even when he was injured. But you know, obviously our fan base, we are the ones that actually destroy our players. Our fan base are the ones that actually destroy players. They talk about stuff. They talk about, you know, players. They slag players. They say, oh, he's a stats merchant. He's a. There's this other one. They say he likes to run and all of that. There's so many things I heard about McTominay at the time. But some people are also saying online, at least I saw some comments. They were saying that McTominay, people were tired of the McFred combination and all of that on that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he was surprised that McTominay was sold. It was just like our academic graduate, former, and but also as a former manager. Just to digress a little bit, ITN is saying the transfer shows just how in-depth this club is. McTominay is a youth product, scored multiple goals at crucial times, and it's a joke he got sold. Yeah, it's a good joke he got sold. Facts. And we're in a financial situation, so if this is me trying to make an excuse for the club that we're in a financial situation, that's why we sold McTominay. But for me, it's a big deal. Why did we sell him? We shouldn't have let him go. Now, former Man United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has revealed his shock at the club's decision to sell academy graduate Scott McTominay to Napoli for £25.7 million in August of 2024. Solskjaer emphasized the intangible value of the local lad who know the club, especially local lads who know the club in and out and possesses the required character and personality. He said he was almost shocked by the sale, and his shock has been completely vindicated by events in Italy. McTominay has become an absolute sensation in Serie A, and in the 24-25 season he scored a staggering 12 goals in 34 Serie A matches to help Napoli win the league title. Yes, a league title. He won a league title with Napoli. Basically, which he also followed up by winning the Serie A Player of the Year award. So he was doing absolutely amazing and still doing well this year. Now think about it. He leaves United and immediately becomes a league champion and the best player in the league for the season. Yeah, that's his best season in Italy. Doing okay this season, not like smashing the numbers like last season, obviously due to the fact that Kevin De Bruyne is injured now, so we shall see. Now, Solskjaer pinpoints the core issue at United, especially with regards to tactical underutilization, which is what he did in his time at United. He admitted that McTominay wasn't allowed to play in his best position enough, and that was due to, you know, the presence of Bruno Fernandes. Now, it is not him. Now let me just clarify this news. It is not him that suggested that it was Bruno Fernandes that led to Scott McTominay not playing his preferred position. Scott McTominay is a central midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder. So you don't say it's because of Bruno that he didn't play his preferred position. Bruno was already playing as an attacking midfielder when he came to the club. So you can't say, oh, it's because of Bruno. It was Gary Neville that suggested that it was because of Bruno. Gary Neville asked him, oh, it's because of Bruno Fernandes, right? And Scott Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says, no, it's not completely because of Bruno. ITN saying Ole is not lying. He knows the DNA of United, and Scott was deserving of a place in that squad. Yep. Scott McTominay is deserving of a place in this squad. He's a leader. He's a born leader. You can see the way he carries himself and stuff. But it is what it is. Yeah. So basically, we sold him at a time when he was going to be coming of age to become like coming to his peak, right? But it is what it is. My United fans at the time were calling for him to be sold. Basically, they were excited. Scott McTominay needs to be sold and stuff like that. But he was tactically underutilized, and he will be very good in this midfield pivot. Will not be lacking midfielders who can run. He'll be more mature. He'll be a leader in the mid. Him and Casemiro can pair and play together. It will be another Scottish-Brazilian combination in that midfield. But then Scott McTominay will still do well. He was tactically underutilized. He admitted that McTominay wasn't allowed to play in his position, but obviously, Bruno Fernandes and the team's overall lack of physicality and legs in the midfield had been the issue the last year. He recalls specific tactical instructions for Scott McTominay to make a third-man run or make third-man runs in games against Leeds, where he scored multiple goals, proving his capability as a goal-scoring runner from midfield. You remember when Ten Hag was using Scott McTominay like in the false 9-stroke attacking role? Yeah, Ten Hag used him and stuff. But he deserves a place in this squad, and most likely would have fitted perfectly in this squad. Now, the sale of Scott McTominay looks like a spectacular mistake, no doubt, and I'm sure the owners right now will be looking at it. It underscores the functional flaw in the player's evaluation. Selling a 28-year-old midfielder for a modest, I think at the time it was 27 or 26, at a modest £25.7 million, who then becomes a league-winning player of the year elsewhere. Now, it's a cautionary tale about losing sight of the value of your own academy and the personality traits that build a winning club culture. And for a fact, in the last couple of years, Scott McTominay has been one of the leading shining lights of Man United's academy. But yeah, long may it continue anyway. Now, we're going to also do a managerial deep dive. And this deep dive is basically with regards to, obviously, it's already, I think 2 days ago, it was 1 year since Rúben Amorim became took charge of Man United after the international break like this. He started, I think, November 11th. Now, basically, we're going to get the understanding of the direction of Manchester United as to why Rúben Amorim was chosen. Now, to understand this United's current direction, we need to also go behind the scenes. We have to look at things from behind the scenes, to look at the hiring of Rúben Amorim. I mean, it was rigorous, it was deliberate, it was a deliberate process that shows the new hierarchy's commitment to specific long-term philosophy. Now, when Manchester United were sounding out the next successful coach in football, two names consistently stood out, despite not being on the previous 6-man shortlist: Rúben Amorim and Thiago Motta. ITN is saying it's just a joke to sell McTominay and have nothing but Ugarte and Casa, as first team players in that midfield. That's actually a fact, and I totally agree. We should have not sold McTominay. We should have let him stay. But obviously, we as fans had a role to play. Well, I didn't call for him to be sold, but we as fans had a role to play in that situation. We should have let him stay. Just the same way we had a role to play in letting Højlund go. Not only fans, but also ex-players. Let me go back to this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation, because you see him have conversations with Neville, Jamie Carragher, who is silent, by the way, since he doesn't talk about anything Manchester United. He only talks about Liverpool. I mean, he doesn't talk about anything Liverpool. He only talks about Man United. Well, let's talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You remember the time when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was Manchester United manager? Gary Neville will come out after his podcast on his podcast after every game, and he will say stuff like, "Man United have lost the plot. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has lost the dressing room. The players don't respect him. This, and that." you think about it then, and you think about it now, and he's giving interviews. The same Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Man United fans are calling for him to come back and all that. Oh, let's have him. He understands what it means. It's the same Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that Man United fans called a PE teacher at the time. The same Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that Man United say, oh, he's just vibes and nothing more. Now we're seeing a different manager who has a structure and is ready to kind of build a team from scratch. And then we are saying no, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should come back. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was given an opportunity to be a manager of Besiktas and was sacked within a season. So think about it. Didn't even get them to play in the Champions League. Didn't get them to qualify for Champions League and was sacked. So, I mean, he had players like João Mario in his team. He had a lot of players, right, in his team. Right, top players, top Portuguese players as well, playing in that Besiktas team. He also had Masuaku playing as a left wing back in that team, left winger as well in that team. He had some good players in that team, but still couldn't get them. Now it's the same player, the same manager. Now you want to come so that the English media will bash him for no reason, right? He had good ideas. He wanted us to get Haaland. We got Ronaldo. Right, he wanted us to get some really good players. He wanted to make sure Sancho worked in the early days, but it didn't. And that's the only time Sancho played for Man United properly under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But it is what it is. He understands how to manage players. He understands how to manage teams and stuff. But top pundits, top content creators called for his head, called for his sacking. Instead of backing him, they called him a PE teacher. They called him a manager who works on only vibes. But it is what it is. So we move on to managerial deep dive with regards to Rúben Amorim and why he was chosen. They said two names were on the 6-man shortlist that stood out: Rúben Amorim and Thiago Motta. Now, the backing of Amorim was strong from the top, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sir Dave Brailsford heavily involved. Basically, director Jason Wilcox was reportedly of the opinion that Amorim is fantastic, and you could see that he's actually doing well, and they really have a good working relationship. Now, the key moment came in the 5-hour meeting at Seville, following earlier meetings in Barcelona and in London. Now, in the intense session, Amorim basically laid out his entire football philosophy to the hierarchy, but it wasn't a straightforward decision, because Amorim reportedly hesitated, repeatedly asking the United officials, why now? Why do you want me now? United's response and reasoning for hiring him during the season was brutally honest. They wanted to get the inevitable mistakes and teething problems out of the way during the season, essentially writing off a portion of the current campaign for a long-term implementation. Following the Seville meeting, another one took place in Lisbon, where after some pressure was applied, Amorim finally accepted the job. If not, he wouldn't have accepted. Now you look at it from the long-term perspective, you will understand that Manchester United know what they were doing. Manchester United knew the hierarchy, knew what they wanted when they wanted to get Rúben Amorim on board, and the earlier they did it, the better it would have been for the club, and they wanted to get things out of the way. And which brings me to something I wanted to say, I've been meaning to say for a long time. Rúben Amorim came in as a manager of this Manchester United team, ripped everything down and started everything back up, reset. It was a full whole-blown reset, right? But after pressure and all of that, he accepted the role. Now, the narrative reveals a new, decisive, and highly tactical approach from United's leadership, that they weren't hiring for a short-term bounce, but they were hiring for a philosophy, specifically a 3-4-3 system, and they understood that implementing it would be very painful. Now, you think about it. And you think about the news that came out yesterday, that Jason Wilcox is talking, this was from Indy Kyla and a couple of other people, that Jason Wilcox is talking to Rúben Amorim to change to a 4-3-3, blah, 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 and they started recycling. Rúben Amorim is not changing to 4-3-3. Let's just forget about it. Let's just move on from it. Now, it's a huge shift from the previous managerial appointments and suggests a clear long-term vision guided by the new football structure at the club. Now, we're going to talk about something else, something in that light of, the whole Amorim situation, which brings me to something I saw online. Now, the hierarchy of Man United recruited someone called Michael Sansoni, and he arrived from the Mercedes F1 team. as the director of data in April, and was one of the least surprising moves made by the club, basically. Now, Sansoni has completely revamped United's data capabilities, which are now being used extensively across performance, recruitment, and training. Precise details of Sansoni's work has implemented of the work Sansoni has implemented are a closely guarded secret. But one source said the work of United's data and analytics team has accelerated in such a degree that it is now among the top 4 teams. Who are the top 4 teams? We have to think about what kind of data analytics. But it's according to Simon Stone. Yeah, Simon Stone. Simon Stone of the BBC is talking about this with regards to Sansoni being a top-notch data analyst that has improved and revamped Man United's data and stuff like that. Like I said, there's a huge shift, and a lot of data research has been put in place to be able to achieve what's needed to be achieved when it comes to Manchester United and recruitment and stuff. That's why you see Man United are interested in certain players and all of that. Data and analysis has been data analysis has been done to get the recruitment right. Another ITN is saying that Amorim has no excuses. When he jumped ship from Sporting, I agree he made big changes we never had from any manager. I stuck with him for the time. I'm stuck with him for the time being. Yeah, that's a fact. Basically, Rúben Amorim made big changes, and we have to kind of accept it and basically just allow for the team to actually evolve and grow and build and all of that. Now, we have to also talk about, let's do some quick fire news with regards to Sancho, Sesko, and Adeyemi. Then we'll break down further other things further, and then we can now wrap it up. So, one of the quick fire news, basically, Jadon Sancho. In Sancho's initial struggle, and this was from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's interview. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also provided insight into Jadon Sancho's initial struggles at Man United, a factor that had not fully come out before. Solskjaer reveals that just before joining, Sancho went on holiday and ended up getting a severe ear infection, which put him in hospital and meant that he really struggled for his first 10 days or so before he could even start training. This unexpected health setback meant that by the time Sancho was finding form, Solskjaer was already on his way out, highlighting how bad luck can derail even the biggest transfers, which I don't believe. The Solskjaer that is saying it, maybe he had the ear infection, but what did he do to get him that ear infection? But that's Sancho. Sancho is gone. Sancho is bygone. He's in the past and all of that. But Solskjaer, he played under Solskjaer. He played a couple games under Solskjaer, but we didn't deliver. And at the end of that season, or at the time, I think we lost to Watford, and that's when they had to sack Solskjaer. Then there's an update on Benjamin Sesko's injury, but it is not really an update. It's just an update from the Slovenian national team or Slovenian Football Federation. United fans have been sweating over the fitness of Benjamin Sesko, but the £64 million striker, thanks to wonderful Gary Neville, who called him an 80 million striker, but it is what it is. £64 million striker who picked up a knee injury against Tottenham. Slovenia's national team manager had initially accused United of keeping his staff in the dark about the injury, frustrated that his team doctor could not examine the player. However, the Slovenian FA have now released a statement confirming that they have received all the complete medical documentation from United. While they confirm the injury leaves Sesko unable to participate in the training process, the resolution of the communication issue is positive news. And though a timeline for his return remains unclear, we're going to keep an eye out for that. Sesko is done, basically. Sancho is playing. ITN says Sancho is playing PlayStation. Sesko, I'm a bit worried about and confused. He does well in team play, but when goal chances occur, he's slow and not sharp. Explain. I know you know. See what? Yes. We didn't talk about Sesko after the Spurs game. We talked about him in the match review, but we didn't talk about him after the Spurs game. Yeah, he's a bit... Okay, so let's talk about Sesko when he first joined. When he first joined, he said the league is a little bit fast. Nobody's giving you space. He's taking his time to adjust to the speeds and all of that. He's working with the team to try to build momentum and build rhythm and build speed to get to, play in this league. And then he struggled. He was coming in as a sub, and a lot of people were calling for him to come on, for him to, start games and stuff. And then eventually he got the opportunity to start, and then he started to deliver. He scored 2 goals and created 1 assist in 3 games. And then after that, he became a sub again. I mean, he started the last game before becoming a sub. He started last game against Nottingham Forest and missed, I think, a chance or 2, and then became a sub again against Spurs, and that was a tactical reasons. But he had 2 chances that he could have scored, and it was a bit slow. Maybe he had... Okay, so this is me making an excuse for Sancho now. He probably had that injury, but wanted to play it through to see maybe it's not really an injury. You know that feeling you get when you're playing and you feel that pain, but then most of these players play through pain, but you're feeling that pain, and then you try to play through the pain to see where that goes, and then probably worsen it. Maybe that's what happened with Sesko. All right, and you might never know how the injury came about. Maybe it's a kneecap injury, an ACL injury. I don't pray it's an ACL injury, but you know what I mean. He might have tweaked the muscle in that knee that have led to it, but they don't want to kind of explain it until they are completely sure. Maybe he might even have done something to his meniscus, depending on how his leg must have been planted when that tackle from Van der Ven came and all of that. Maybe the Van der Ven tackle impeded his leg to an extent that I think he kicked and it tweaked something in the knee. So we will just keep observing, because for me, I feel like Sesko deserves time to adjust. He's just coming. He has not really adjusted, and he's young, 22, so he's still got time to evolve, but he should have finished his chances, no doubt. Not making an excuse for that, but yeah, the timeline for his return remains unclear. And like you said, I saw it, but I mean, I don't want to blame the young lad. He's going to improve, he's going to get better, he's going to score goals, and trust me, he's going to give us 10-15 goals this season, considering the number of games that we have coming, if he's not injured for a long time. He needs to be sharp as well. He needs to improve his speed. He needs to improve his mobility. He's getting into good places and chances. He's making chances. He's even being the first contact for balls like that. So we have to see how things pan out with that. And then obviously with regards to an option in Man United's attack. Yeah. ITN says, I can't lie, Sesko gets in the chances, but just doesn't finish or be hungry like Van Nistelrooy. Yes, he does well as a team player, and I see that much. Yeah, I agree with you 110%. I agree with you on that one. Karim Adeyemi and Sekou Kone. These are two young players we're going to talk about. Sekou Kone is Man United. Karim Adeyemi is Borussia Dortmund. The transfer on this transfer front, United are still busy scouting. Basically, the club has been in contact with super agent George Mendes. I was going to call him Jorge Mendes, but it is what it is. Regarding a potential transfer for Borussia Dortmund forward Karim Adeyemi. Dortmund is pushing to extend his contract, but Adeyemi and Mendes are pushing for a release clause to be included, which is keeping United's interest alive and monitored. So whatever happens to Karim Adeyemi, I've watched him. He's a pacey guy, fast and all that. Is he going to be the right wing back or left wing back we need? He's not a right wing back or left wing back. He's a winger. Or is he going to be one of the 10s? I saw somebody put something, I think this is Margot Bridge and maybe all the other outlets talk about him being the next Mo Salah-esque kind of player, your right 10 or left 10, with pace, with speed, stretch the play, make the field as wide and as long as possible. But it is what it is. It's something we have to just keep an eye out for and monitor. Conversely, due to high frequency of injuries, this one, I don't believe it one bit. I don't believe it one bit, considering the source as well. Conversely, due to high frequency of injuries, the club is planning to loan out Sekou Kone in the winter transfer window to allow the young player to get consistent playing time elsewhere and build up his match fitness. I don't believe it. So you said frequency of injuries. The way the post was framed, especially when I saw it on X, the frequency of his injuries. How many injuries has he got? One injury. Maybe you want to say he wants to build strength, or he wants to build his agility and all that, but does a loan solve the problem? Does a loan solve the problem? I don't think so. So I don't know. I want Sekou Kone to play at least first team football. At least that's the reason why we signed him, even though he's in the academy and stuff. He needs to build his momentum. He would have gone on loan in the summer, but he got injured as well. Apparently, the dude is not on best terms with his coach at Dortmund. That's the question. That's the that Niko Kovac is just. I think Niko Kovac is still the Dortmund coach. Let's look at who the Dortmund coach is. Just a quick. I think it's Niko Kovac. He seems to be having problems with a lot of players. Yeah. Niko Kovac. Yeah. He seems to be having a lot of problems with. Now, Daily Mail is saying something about that. Man United eye a soup for super fast Borussia Dortmund star after relationship breakdown with Niko Kovac, and he's trying to add a release clause to his contract. Karim Adeyemi's future at Borussia Dortmund is clouded by uncertainty. And reports in Germany suggest Man United could be positioning themselves to pounce. The 23-year-old attacker is encountering problems with both on and off the pitch, having failed to score or assist since late September. Adeyemi's relationship with boss Niko Kovac has frayed, leading to the public fallout. Thank you, ITN, for pointing that out. I needed to find out the deeper news. On the 25th of October, Adeyemi launched a water bottle. Wow. Okay, never saw that coming. Launched a water bottle at the bench when he was substituted during Dortmund's 1-0 win over FC Köln. Behavior Kovac publicly condemned. I think that's unnecessary. He said it's okay that he can be angry sometimes, but that's unnecessary. He is an adult. Then, during the Dortmund's dramatic 1-1 draw with Hamburg over the weekend, a frustrated Kovac could be seen visibly agitated by Adeyemi's decision making. He was substituted on the 60th minute, and according to Bild, discussions regarding Adeyemi's future are in full swing. The young star's contract expires in 2027, and his entourage are demanding a long-term extension with a release clause of £70 million. Dortmund typically do not include release clauses in contracts, but the report suggests that an exception could be made in Adeyemi's case. United have reportedly been alerted to the Germans' situation, and Adeyemi has recently enlisted super agent Jorge Mendes' services, with the Portuguese maintaining excellent contacts at Old Trafford. Mendes, who has facilitated United's moves for Lenioro and Manuel Ugarte, seemingly holds the key for a switch from Dortmund to Man United for the attacker. Amorim invested heavily in the attack over the summer, bringing Matheus Cunha, Bryan Mbeumo and Benjamin Sesko for a combined £240 million. Adeyemi has scored 29 goals and provided 22 assists in 121 appearances for Bundesliga outfit Borussia Dortmund. Now, if you look at it, 29 goals with 22 assists, that takes us to around 51 goals plus assists in 121 appearances. That's a very good. That's a very good output or return. Then I'm reading the comments of that post, and fans are saying once beaten, twice shy. That's for Dortmund. Then another fan said, no, we made the mistake already. Never forget Jadon Sancho, please. Another one comes out and says, I'm willing to bet that United will sign this dude of a striker shortly. You watch and see. Yeah. Back to Sekou Kone. Thank you, ITN, for pointing that news out. We're going to be looking at other things. Back to Sekou Kone. ITN is saying Sekou Kone is a bit worrying. 19, no real minutes. Our midfield is dead at the moment, and he's not getting the chance even. Yeah, Sekou Kone got injured in his eye socket. So let me just have a look at the Sekou Kone news so we can actually break it down. So the people's person, I don't really believe what they say, but Sekou Kone, Man United changed transfer plans after serious injury. Okay. Manchester United are set to change their transfer plans for Sekou Kone after a serious injury halted the 19-year-old's starlet's progress, according to a report. The worrying injury is that there was an acute concern after Kone was stretched off the pitch in August during the Under-21s match against Tamsworth in the National League Cup, and I think that game was called off. The Malian midfielder signed from Guidas FC last year for a fee in the region of 1 million, suffered a head injury after a nasty collision. It required immediate medical attention before being taken to the hospital by the emergency services. The match was abandoned as a result because there was no replacement ambulance available. Kone spent the night in the hospital under observation but was released the next morning. It was then revealed that he sustained a fractured eye socket during the clash. A source close to the academy revealed that he was fine, but being prevented from contact training due to the injury, significantly postponing his return to action. Earlier this month, Under-21 manager Travis Binion provided a hugely encouraging update, revealing Kone would be ready to play in November after the November international break, 3 months after the incident against Tamworth. After the international break, we think he will be ready, this is according to Binion, to play, which will be good. He is not being able to do contact, which limits the work we can do, but he's back in full training now, and we will get a body of training back into him and with contact. However, Kone's return to Carrington may be a short one, with January transfer window just over 6 weeks away, and the club are now considering sending the young star on loan. This is according to Christopher Michael from Christopher Michael on X. He says Sekou Kone has yet to make his breakthrough at MUFC. He has also, this was November 13th, so a few hours ago, he has also been plagued by injuries, just one injury, but yeah, the club is therefore planning to loan him out in the winter so that he can gain professional playing time at another club. A change in plan. Basically, youth football expert Christopher Michael, reveals that United are planning for Kone to leave Old Trafford for the second half of the season to search for more first team opportunities. Yeah. There had been hope that Kone may force his way into the senior team this season after being included by Rúben Amorim for a number of matchday squads last year. There is obvious scope for improvements in the first team midfield unit. Amorim has turned to experienced pairings of Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes, but the duo lacks legs and energy, attributes that youthful Kone could offer in abundance. But to have missed 3 months of football is significant, particularly for inexperienced players still trying to find his feet in men's football, and it will prove an easier transition for Kone to complete away from away from the bright lights of the theater of dreams. Kone's best bet is to secure his long-term future with United. To secure his long-term future with United is to leave Man United in the short term. So we shall observe that. It's worrying, yes, no doubt that he's not getting playing time, but obviously he's been plagued by injuries. To be out for 3 months is a whole lot to deal with, but we shall observe, and whatever comes out of it, ITN is saying, and we're going to clip this if you can. ITN is saying, mark my words, Menu is coming and he will show his worth. The rest behind him, Kone, etc., need to just be humble. Yeah, facts. Anyway, we move over to double O14. I think. Yes, 0014. Florian Wirtz and the critics. And I know why I brought this, because Man United is associated with this. it's a funny side of everything, man. Florian Wirtz, who has barely been in outstanding form. He has not been in outstanding form at all. He's been a flop for £160 million to be signed, rising to 120. He is reportedly not bothered by the criticisms he has been receiving lately. I saw this on ESPN. And you know ESPN is pretty much a Liverpool supporting channel on X. He says he is not particularly bothered by the criticism he has been receiving lately. And it mostly comes from certain quarters, namely former players of arch rivals Manchester United, like Wayne Rooney, Rio Ferdinand, and Gary Neville. And it seems even former players are still doing their part to manage the competition. Kobe. I mentioned Kobe Menu because ITN is mentioning in the chat, but it is what it is. Put your comments in the comment section. What do you guys think? Florian Wirtz and critics. He says his critics are coming from rivals. Yeah, that's because Jamie Carragher has refused to talk about it. Jamie Carragher has refused to talk about his flaws. Jamie Carragher has refused to talk about why he's not delivering. Jamie Carragher has refused to talk about how he's a flop already. Because you come and you call Jose Zirkzee a flop, or you call Benjamin Sesko a flop, yet you have a flop who has played 14 games and hasn't delivered even a goal or an assist. For 160 something million. Jose Zirkzee was bought for 36 million. That's cheap. Benjamin Sesko was bought for 74 million, not 100, and he hasn't delivered. And they both came from Germany. Sesko has scored 3 goal contributions, that's goals and assists in 14 games. Florian Wirtz hasn't, even with all the Champions League and everything he's playing, even against his former team Frankfurt, he barely delivered. Come on. Now he's saying, he's not bothered because he comes from Rooney, Ferdinand, and Neville. Because Rooney, Ferdinand, and Neville talk about everything. Rooney, Ferdinand, and Neville talks about everything. They don't talk about, and they also criticize Man United even more than they criticize Liverpool. But what? Jamie Carragher, he has not talked about Liverpool, even when Liverpool are losing 6 games out of 7. ITN is saying this Wirtz guy is lucky he's at the Scousers. If he's at United, the media would have slandered him would have slandered him so bad. We know the agenda, obviously. Yeah. I've talked about this severally on this channel. Probably we'll do another research again on the Man United agenda again. Maybe we'll make it a series right now. We're gonna make it a series. Manchester United agenda or Man United agenda. Series back to back, right? Or the United Agenda podcast series. It is what it is. Anyway, that's just on a lighter note, basically. But just to give you a bit of a highlight of what we've covered tonight, tonight's stories highlight a new determination at Man United, from, trying to look at the fact that we have, or reports that we have £110 million to spend to a rigorous process that took place with installing Rúben Amorim as the manager of the club, and then the club finally prioritizing a clear football philosophy with Rúben Amorim, even though critics will never stop, will stop at nothing to criticize Rúben Amorim and all of that. But we also face the crushing reality of past mistakes, that is the baffling sale of Scott McTominay and the intense transfer battles for players like Semenyo, Baleba. I want to call him Zoltan Guerra because I remember a certain Zoltan Guerra that played for Fulham, but no, he's Javi Guerra. Javi Guerra of Valencia. Valencia are doing really badly in the league, in Spanish La Liga. It would be good for us to just go get that player. Now, it's a rebuild on and off the pitch, filled with massive financial bets and high stakes decisions. But what do you guys think? I know I already know what I've already seen what ITN has said about the McTominay saga, but I mean, it's in the past. We have to move on from that. Now, do you think that Man United can afford to pay 80 million for Semenyo in January? Nope. I don't believe that we should even go for him. I think we should spend the 80 million on 2 players or 3 players, 2 or 3 strong midfielders, and then we can build from there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment sections, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to all of those things with subscribe to the channel for all of those things with regards to Manchester United. ITN is saying spend no money anymore, let the youth come in. Yeah, make their position. Yeah, I'm happy for that. Yeah. I agree with you on that, ITN, saying basically we shouldn't spend money, we should go and get the youth. From watching the youth, I think there's a huge gap, especially when you come to like filling in positions. When you talk about filling in positions in the midfield, I probably would think that there's a gap. There's a huge gap, and that's the reason why they've not like brought them up to play in the midfield, especially in defensive midfield role. One of the Fletcher brothers can actually play in that role, one of the Fletcher brothers, but there's a huge gap between the academy and especially from the under-18s, because we have some really amazing star players in the under-18s, but there's a huge gap in disparity between the academy players and the first team. So, and even if you go over to the under-21s, we still have that gap as well. So we probably would need to build those players up or send them out on loan, like send a couple players on loan to build ahead of next season and stuff. But there's a huge gap. I'm not going to lie. There's a huge gap. But yeah, we have something to build from, but then to rebuild is ongoing. But yeah, like you said, I won't mind the youth coming in. I mean, that's how you build momentum. Despite the gap, you're still going to be able to build momentum, continue to build intensity, and continue to build rhythm and all of that. But it is what it is. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. I know, for me, I don't feel we should spend 80 million on one player. Instead, we should go and spend 30 million on two players. That's 60 million and 20 million on one. Or just spend 60 million on two players and move on. Yeah, ITN is saying this, and he has a very valid point here. He says, and with the gap, it will take time, but we gotta go for something new and years. Yeah, and if it takes years, we will make progress, right? Than buying players and spending 40, like look at Elliot Anderson. The moment Man United became interested, boom, he became 110 million pounds. Look at Carlos Baleba, he's already 110 million pounds, yet he's having a crappy season. You look at Guerra, Javi Guerra looks like he's a good player, good price as well. But he's not a plug and play player. Looking at what Jason Wilcox said, plug and play, that's what we need, Premier League proven. So maybe we should go for João Gomez, 40 million, 30 million, but then like ITN is saying, we should go for youth and then we'll see how we go from there. But putting them in the deep like that, Man United fans are not merciful, but it is what it is. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Don't also forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for everything with regards to Manchester United in this evolving world of sports. But yeah, it is what it is. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you ITN for commenting, for joining us on this live and all of that. We'll continue to build momentum ahead of the international break. We'll be back again tomorrow with another live, break down all the news and all the stuff. There's a whole lot of news to break down, but these ones were the main ones I had to focus on because I had to sieve. I mean, there's ones where heartbroken Man United star storms off with Cameroon to miss World Cup. I watched the game, and that is basically what's his name, Brian Bumo, getting annoyed. You also have national team boss sets lofty challenge, fast and aggressive United star who is set who has the whole package. I'm happy to finish. No, ITN, I don't agree with you on that. Man United fans are going to be very, very annoyed with you. They are very, very, just my opinion doesn't mean much. ITN saying, I'm happy to finish 16th with 9 young players. ITN, trust me, guys are going to chop off Amorim's head. We'll finish 16th. They will not even care if we had 9 young players. Denmark boss Brian Rema sets lofty challenge for Man United star. Dogu battling to Denmark boss has challenged Man United defender Brian. You see, I'm annoyed. ITN, hear me out. I'm annoyed. The people's person posts something, and you see that this is literally just a pointless news. He says, Denmark boss Brian Reimer has challenged Manchester United defender Brian Dogu to step up and take his place at the national team. Yeah. So like I said, we have so much news. We just have to make do with what we have. Roy Keane backs Marcus Rashford for major England role after a telling 5-word verdict. Man United consider a Adeyemi move, which is Friday's gossip. Roy Keane insists Man United player should start for England instead of Newcastle star. Who is that? So there's a lot of news, right? There's a lot of news. That's why I don't. Yeah. According to the Metro, Roy Keane insists that Marcus Rashford should be starting games. So you see, they chipped in Man United because it would get clicks, right? But it is what it is. I'm not even mad at the Denmark guy. I'm actually mad at the person who posted it. So the Denmark manager is saying that Patrick Dogu needs to earn his spot. I'm not opposed to the fact that he needs to earn his spot. I mean, he's a Man United player. To play for Man United is not an easy thing, and he's still 21, so he's still got a lot of time to. He just turned 21, so he's still got a lot of time to improve. So it is what it is. I think that's pretty much all of it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Thank you ITN for backing and all of that, for your support all along. Put your thoughts in the comment section so we can actually build conversations and build a community. I'll see you on the next one. We'll be back tomorrow with more news. I'll build it up and then give you the most important things, and then we can take it up from there. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye and God bless.